Hey there, everybody. Squidstorm TV from twitch.tv, Squidstorm TV. Basically, today I wanted to give you my first iteration of the Ranger that I built. It's got some control, heavy long range DPS. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Right here we have the attribute. As you can see, I poured main stat into ferocity, agility, barely any points into toughness and wisdom. I'll let you see my combat damage. If we go all the way to the top, my average damage at the moment is 804, attack speed 48.3, crit chance 47 with the critical damage at 219. Weapon damage is 159 to 240. I think two things to focus on here is that my Aether is currently at 40 to 60 because we're trying to basically slow everything that comes in, and then we have a small chance to spread that, a little bit smaller of a chance to spread that to everything using Shadow in our secondary pistol. Basically, the way Shadow works is Shadow has a chance to proc Shaded. Shaded propagates all status elements onto the surrounding mobs. So that's what we're trying to do here with this build, is slow everything and then propagate the shaded effect so that we could transfer all the physical damage, Aether, Shadow onto everything else. It's not an elements build. No, 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 no. We're not playing an elements build. We basically just want to propagate slow. That's all we're currently doing. So let's get right into it. Show you a little bit about the build, how it works. Basically, so with the passive skill tree here, we have Arrows Well, reduce cooldown with the slowing effect. Like I said, massive lockdown. Mine launchers stay where they land with the slowing effect. Mark of Impurity, we already have two slows. So we just picked up the one where they explode when you deal damage. Enemies killed explode when you do the curse to them, and then it spreads to the surroundings on death of the first marked target. The Phantom Blades increased damage, increased area of effect. Stings of Crarion, we took also increased damage with the reduced amount of projectiles, but increased damage. So double increased damage on the stings as well. As far as our passive skill tree here, we're looking at doing the Sentinel Gate first, 10 agility, 8 agility plus 5 attack speed score, 20 attack and casting speed, 20 agility, down into Warmonger Gate, 10 material, 10 attack damage, 5 attack, straight over into the Ranger Gate, 5 projectile, 5 projectiles, safe from afar, which is very important to mention that this is what makes it a very edge of the screen, off the screen build. You never want to be on top of mobs. It's going to lower your overall DPS by a lot, not just a little, by huge numbers, and I'll show you when I open up an expedition. Into Celerity for the additional movement speed, helps dodge bosses, some of when you're kiting, things of that nature. And then Archeon's Teachings, which is probably one of the most important ones. This allows us to throw double Phantom Blades, allows us to throw double Havoc Orbs. The negative effect on this is very minimal for the benefit of picking up this node in the Ranger tree. After that, we then moved over to the Soldier Gate to pick up Ferocity, Ferocity critical hit chance score, 20 ferocity, down into the Assassin Gate, picking up additional movement speed here to give us a total of 10 from our passive skills. Into active dodge, can go through enemies. If you're wondering what active dodge is, it's basically if you're surrounded by a group of mobs, which tends to happen a lot on those floor spawns, and you proc the dodge mechanic in the game, you are then kind of free to move through the environment. So you can kind of get out of sticky situations with the active dodge, which is a very cool mechanic that they've added here. And then one of the biggest damage modifiers you could pick up with this build is the plus 25% critical hit damage, the weak spot focus. So this is a big node to make sure that you save the point to pick that up. Okay, now that we went over the build, let's go ahead and look at gear and why I may have chose some of these pieces. Experimental pistols are always going to be what you want. They basically, if you get a legendary, have up to the ability to roll 3 damage added to attacks lines. We call those like damage lines, or I do. The higher they are, the more benefit you're going to get. So basically, we're turning this experimental weapon from 25 to 33. We're getting plus 10 to the min stat, and we're getting plus, what is it, 12, 17 to the max end of it. So we're making this weapon a 35 to 50 weapon right off the bat. It's no longer, don't even look at it as a 25 to 33. And then we're adding a crit hit chance, crit damage, attack speed. You can also get material damage on these. Experimental pistols are the way to go when you're making a dual wield ranger. As you can see, I have another experimental pistol. This one is nowhere near as GG as the first. It has 1 attack line, but it does have the other critical parts. It has crit damage, crit hit chance. It didn't roll material damage, but elemental damage isn't bad. As you'll see, I've socketed Aether. Aether, again, is the ones that do Aether damage. Gives us the ability to proc slow. This here gives us the ability to proc shadow, or shaded, I'm sorry, and spread the stasis and the other effects to every mob in the area from the initial target. Boots, we went with Stompers. They have a tendency to roll high movement speed with the main stat, either agility or ferocity. There are some other options, but basically what you're looking for here, high movement speed, high agility, with at least 2 resistances. Here, I don't have a good example for pants currently. I've been very unlucky, but you want double socketed pants with main stat at the very least. So I got single socketed with, agility, low agility on that. Let's go over some rings. Bad examples for rings for me as well. What you're honestly looking for are called still rings. Still rings will have a plus white damage modifier. Like on this, you see where it says plus 9% rend resistances. It will have a plus damage to attack damage modifier on the steel rings, and up to 2 damage lines added to attacks, with the ability to roll other modifiers as well that are really beneficial to the rangers. So always look at your steel rings, because they can really, really, really ramp your damage up early on. If you don't have one, at least one really, really good high rolled Sagunaris can be beneficial to your build. Wearing 2 of them, you're probably going to find more benefit from something like this. Even with only 1 attack line with a plus 8 to all attributes, this has given me more damage than wearing 2 Sagunarises. For belts, I would say the best belt for Rangers, DPS Rangers, is going to be your champion girdles. They have the ability to roll 2. I got an example. They have the ability to roll 2 damage added to attack lines. Mine only has 1. They have the ability to roll, and the most important thing is that white damage line, up to 15% attacks damage. That adds quite a bit as well. For your gloves, you get the attack speed score, and agility or ferocity is very important. Mine have a little bit of both on both my gloves. The same for your shoulders: attack speed, agility or ferocity, attack speed, agility or ferocity. Reinforced iron spalders tend to roll higher. I would look for the reinforced iron spalders. Necklaces, Omni Stars, probably the best example, because you're going to get the plus. Right here is a good example. Plus to all attributes, double added to all attacks. Really, really good example right here. This one just happened to high roll with the ferocity and 2 lines of attack, so it gives me a little bit better stats. This overall might actually be better, and I'll have to look into that. I'll put it down here so I can check later today. But now that we got that done, oh, and my headpiece. We got agility with quite a bit of health and resistances on it. You're looking for agility, ferocity on everything, where you can pick it up, crit hit damage, attack speed, movement speed on your boots. Crit hit damage on your weapons, I would say, is very, very important. Not as important as the attack lines, but right after the attack lines, make sure you get that crit hit damage on your weapons. So let's go ahead and go straight into a veteran +3. Kind of show you a quick example how the stasis effects will start popping off when we get into here. You'll see immediately how far back I am and that I'm almost completely shooting everything off the screen, and how long it begins to take them to get to me. Like I said, this is basically a lockdown build. There's no reason for me to run up on mobs. There's no reason for me to get close. And the closer I get, the less damage I'm going to do anyways. So why would I even do that to myself? Okay, there's a bugged out monster. If you do get trapped by something like this, pop the curse on them. Pop the curse on them immediately. Throw out a phantom blade. Does way more damage than what you think. If you do happen to get in melee distance, make sure you pop that curse on them immediately. But even where I just stood just then, too close. Stand back. Use the ranged off the screen mechanic to your advantage. Get those stasis stacks on there. Get that, whoa! See what I mean? We almost had him down. He was one hit from being down. But that's a good example, though. I just wanted y'all to see, basically, here's another one. Look at him. He's almost dead. Almost dead already. And he hasn't even been able to do his charge. Boom. He wasn't even able to get his charge off. This is what I'm saying. And this is a +10. Wasn't even able to get his charge mechanic off. The big scary dragon. And he wasn't even able to charge. Alright, I don't want to make the video too long. I just wanted to highlight, mainly was trying to find one of those charging dragons. And you kind of see what happens when you don't get the procs off. The proc won't always work. Don't depend on the proc, because it is only a chance. But as you can see, it's a pretty high chance. We shoot fast enough. We have high enough attack speed where it's a pretty high chance that you're gonna proc it. You don't have to be afraid of stuff even getting close to you for the most part. And when it does get close to you, just apply the curse and blow it up with some phantom blades. You know what I mean? Do what you gotta do. But I'm not going to play through the whole thing. Just trying to give you an idea of some of the damage numbers. I know y'all have seen a couple of the 1400s. I think I've seen this hit up to around... That's another thing I forgot to mention. Try and find a pistol with at least one of them has a frost damage added to attacks line. This one has a frost damage added to attacks. So does my primary weapon. Make sure you're trying to look when you're getting those lines. See, this has 2 to 5 frost damage. If you'll notice, I tried stacking as many frost added to attack damage lines as I could, because not only are we trying to lock them down with the stasis and the shaded procs, we're trying to lock them down with the proccing as much freeze as we can as well. Here's another example. See how we froze them, canceled them? We almost had him down too before the charge, but I did have to backflip one time. couple quick examples of how the build works, and there I just took a full ice crystal to the face and didn't even take any damage. We completely dodged it. As far as gems and everything, as you can see, I'm rolling pretty much dodged everything. You'll notice though I did put in one resistance one. Well, why did I just put in one resistance one? Basically because after 50% dodge, you start getting diminishing effects on your dodge. So after you get close to 50%, you might as well just start stacking a different type of gem, resistances or whatever you prefer, because at that point, you're no longer getting any benefit. After 50%, even if I put another gem in here, I might get 51%. Even though it says I should be getting like another 20%, it's not going to jump from 50 to 70. You start getting diminishing effect from the dodge gems after 50. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to spread out your attributes. I hope this video helps those rangers out there. I was initially just stacking material damage. I'm like, well, you know, in my passive tree, I picked up material damage in the Warmonger, so let's just go material damage and stack the heck out of material damage. Well, that doesn't slow the enemies down, and I felt like I was having to backpedal all the time, and when I'm running, I'm not DPSing. So this was a way to be able to put consistent DPS down without having to backpedal. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, please hit that subscribe button. Also, come on by squidstorm.tv. Yeah, wow, Squid. Get it together. There's people watching. Go down to twitch.tv/squidstormtv and give us a follow there as well. Love you guys. Peace. Have a great day. And we'll see you for the next YouTube tutorial build video. Thank you guys.